Let's look at some exponent rules. Say we have the following. We have x to the power of, say, k times x to the power of h. That means that's the same as writing x to the power of k plus h. Let's see if that's true. Let's take 2 to the power of 3, and then we take 2 to the power of 2. This will be 8 times 4, which is 32. And that's equal to, what happens if now we take 2 to the power of 5? That's 32. So this is indeed correct. So what if we have then x to the power of k over x to the power of h? In this case, what you have to do, you have to subtract the exponent. So this will be x to the power of k minus h. You can easily verify that with an example, but also you can write it as x to the power of k. Since this is a denominator, is the same as saying x times x to the power of minus h. So as you can see, we can then use this rule here. All right. Another example would be, let's say we have x to the power, when the power is 1, that's simply x. This is another basic rule. If the power is 0, this will always be 1. When x is 0, there are several possibilities, but you should, as a rule, you should consider it as undefined. All right. Then let's see what happens if we have something like this: x to the power of k, and then we have the whole thing which is to the power of h. So what can we do in this case? In this case, we have to multiply the exponents. That means we are left with x to the power of k times h. Let's look at an example. We have 2 to the power of 3, and then the whole thing is to the power of 2. That would mean 8 to the power of 2, which is 64. So let's try to apply the rule. The rule tells us that this should be equal to 2 to the power of 6. And then that's indeed the case. So to the power of 6 gives us indeed gives us 64. So as you can see, we have shown that this is correct. And so on. So if we have, for example, x, another example would be, I've already used it above, but x to the minus k, that's the same as writing 1 over x to the power of k. Okay. What about if we have something like that? Instead of k, now we have a ratio as an exponent, we have a fraction. So we would have ax to the power of k over h. So since you have h here as the denominator, that means you have to take the root, would be like writing it like that. This root times x to the power of k. So that's the same, writing it either like this or like this, that's the same. So if you have same example as before, x, that's a similar example, we have x squared, x to the power of 2 over 4. In this case, you would have to take the fourth root of x squared. So you know, this case this would also be, this would correspond to simply a square root of x. Alright? So these are the main, let's say, these are basic exponent rules. By the way, when you find the word exponent, that's usually, you can also find it as an called index or power. So that's it for this lesson. Just leave a comment if something is not clear.